we need to make some sort of data as first of all, like some random inputs or like some sample data. So I took like this, we did in the previous session also. We made a dictionary of that and then just imported the pandas and we just made a Excel, or we can say a spreadsheet or like a data frame in the pandas, right? Then just is this normal plotting. Now, we took some first or last name functions like that was meant only to store some first name and the last name, right? So what we did is we did that first name and last name are two lists, and then we combined it. Uh, 1 minute. Okay, so we just combined the things here. In the first line, we made some list blank empty list over there. Then the first name input and so on, like we did in the previous sessions also. Okay, so this was clear to you, I think. Then we took some username and passwords, like we took the raw username and we just split it from the at the rate of Gmail, or you can say only with at the rate of like the things. Okay, so if we split this kind of thing, so we'll see that the username and so existing over there, right? So if we write user pass, so if we see iitt.shukla@gmail.com, what will happen at the rate of gmail.com will just move on, and you will be getting only the iit.shukla, right? Okay. So like similar, we took some date of births, gender, and the phone number functions. So here what we did is we understand this right on the previous sessions too, that we imported some date time and random modules over there. We made some months over there. It depends on you if you want to keep it numerical or like in the you can say alphabetically. So it depends on you. The day you are taking, and if the day is greater than 31, take an input valid and else, and so does you do. Okay, the year and like this all, and then at the last you take all the str of day, month, and the year, and then append that in an str format in the date list, right? Right. So and then check the function if it is working or not. So I did the DGP and the state. If I just run this and print the date. So if I just say this 12, so today is 5. So it's 5. It's August and it's 2020. So let's take 2019 or let's take 1919. Okay. So date will be kind of the things you're having some more things over there. That is, you can see 5 August 1919 is there, right? So similarly, I have taken 3 of the inputs. So 3 of the inputs are here previously, and then you took 5 August, and that is coming over here, right? That is being coming here, and you can see on that. Moreover, we took the phone number one, right? So I'll remove this last element. That appended and remove that. So that is it. Okay. So This is now phone number function. See, what we did here is, so you'll have to do it manually, right? So I have done like just a sum up of the things so that you can understand how it works. So you have to modify it more. So let's say phone number is a blank list and I'm defining this. Once you see, the very most important thing is don't define any list or dictionary inside a function, because that will happen is like whenever you run the function, every time the data will be lost. Okay, so make sure that you make whatever you are making as a storing kind of thing. So mention that before the function. Okay. So you're making a mobile function and you're importing the random module. Why I'm importing random, you'll see, right? So we are taking some mobile 10 digit numbers. So if this is not in phone number, right? So now this phone number is blank, right? Hmm? So if the user gives any number and if it is not in this phone number, so if it is not, then we'll see whether the input is equals to 10 or not. So if it is not equals to 10, will give an invalid input. But if it is an equals to 10, then we'll go for the code generation. And since it's a new user, we'll say code generation random.randint and we'll take the codes and like this same thing we know right how to do this. So this is one time Google verification code and then we'll print enter the OTP sent to your mobile ending with mobile 3 and dash 1, right? And then print the code because you can't just you haven't learned how to send these things in the mobile applications or like servers thing, right? So what we'll do is we'll print the code over here, whatever the code will be, and then will be like OTP enter. Okay, once the code will be printed out in front of your screen, we'll ask you to enter the OTPs. So input enter the OTP. Now if you whatever you enter the OTP is I have taken as an str of that for avoiding any kind of errors. Okay, so this will be equals to the str of code generations. Remember, you will not be giving the, if you will say that this will be a OTP enter equals to the code, if you write the code, that will be totally wrong. Why? Because code is the whole line, right? Code is the whole line including the OTP. Okay, so you need only that code generation code plus this G, that will be your OTP. So if it is str of G plus the code generation OTP, then if it is equal, then I'll say please accept the terms and conditions to create your account, and answer will be like whatever the terms and condition. I said for accepting terms and condition enter 1, right? So if any input other than 1 will come, if this is not equals to 1, then invalid response, or else I'll say if it is equals to 1, I'll say phone number dot append the mobile number. That whatever the, if every situation, if every conditions has been passed, then I'll in the last I'll append this thing, right? And I'll say account created successfully. Now if the OTP is not equals, then the invalid OTP. And even if the number exists, then we'll say number already exists. Okay, then we'll run this mobile and you can see, right, if I am saying for this number, it says that number already exists. Okay, that's really correct, right? And you can modify it according to your data. I have made this like for the very sample data. You can modify it even more. Now that depends on you, like how you modify. That's the main thing you have to do on. Now I have taken some genders and this is a very small one. Def gender, print, enter gender, and this male or female. I just want to enter male or the female. So gender input will be enter gender, and what we'll do, since we want this as a kind of M capital or F capital, we'll be capitalizing it, and we'll see if the gender is equals to male or female. Let it be anything, right? Anything could be there. So if any condition satisfies between this male or female, we'll append this to in the gender one, and if it's not satisfying, we'll just print out invalid input. And see, we have just run all the functions here like FL name for the first name, last name, the user pass. I've given some of the mail IDs and your password over there. We run out the date of birth there like 10 March 1996. The mobile numbers, like we entered something mobile number, you can see enter the OTP sent to your mobile ending with 901. Okay, So number ending with 901. You can write also here. You can, even if you write XXXX and then 901, depends on you, right? So number, you can see this number ends with 901, so you're getting 901 there. And now this is your one-time Google verification code, and you are entering the code as 96894, whatever 6849990, right? It's asking please accept the terms and conditions to create your account, and terms and conditions, accept the terms and condition, enter one. So I entered one, account created successfully, right? So I just pop up one thing because I made one extra over there. So if I see the first name, last name, date, and all these things, if I just see here, so I could see, okay, there is some more in this date. So do one thing, date dot pop. So if I see now these things, what happens, like I made one entry, two entry, three entry. That is first three names, last three names, the date of birth. Someone came there, right? The date of birth and the phone numbers. Okay, we have some two phone numbers over there. Let's add one more. Let's add this phone num. Phone num dot append 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. No, that could not be same. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So we have now this three phone numbers, three date of births, three last names. Since this is not having anything, but still you have to write, you give underscores, that would be also fine. Genders are there, the usernames, that is Nitin at the rate of gmail.com, Satyan.dav at the rate of gmail, Smith Commercial 82 at the rate of gmail.com, right? Like this. And these are the passwords what we are having there, right? So what I did is I made one another data too of this all this with the same. See what I have done. If you see, you can see the common things in the previous our data frame. What our key was exactly the same I have made in this another data. You can say another set here, right? With the same key names, and the value varies actually, nothing else, right? The values are varying, and I made another data frame. So you can see I have printed both of them here. You can see that this difference there. That is, you are getting username, password, phone number, gender, fname, element, and date of birth. Similarly, I've got everything here too, right? This was your first data. This is my second data, what I've generated. Now the thing is, like every time you don't need to generate like this amount of data, right? You make a program. This is your task how to combine this, right? So see, I have again given a very short example of how you can combine. So there is a term called as concat. Okay, like we concatenate in the strings. If we want to combine some data over there, so there is a term called as concat, but that only works on some very specific parameters, like you want to give in the excess concatenation or in place. There are a lot of things to work on this concat. Now, since our column names are same, right? And so we can concatenate this, right? So I said df and df2 should be concatenated. That is, this df and this df2 should be concatenated, and the final data came as something like this, right? So once your data is generated, what you do is you convert this into a CSV. You convert this into a CSV, and then that is enough, right? And then you say, now I'm testing my data. This is my testing process. This 114 cell is my testing process, right? So I said login success is a list and login failed is a list. Okay, login success and login failed is a list, right? And I said def login. Now my login I'm giving bank. Now bank will be the data what I have published, right? The bank will be the data what I have saved in my drive, or you can say saved in my machine, right? And I'll read it with the index column of username. So let me show you. If I read something like this, what happens. So if I read my data, that is bank equals to pd.read and something like this. See the difference. What I'm saying is, let's say if you don't write this particular command, okay, let me show you this bank. So this looks like something this, right? You're having some unnamed columns over there. But if you say it to be like this, so if you say your index columns to be the username, if you write it like this, and whenever you run this bank on, so you will get now like this, like a data like this, right? So you will be having a data like this now. Okay, so you are getting some username, some password, some phone number, gender, first name, last name. Now your work will be to test your data according to this this generated data, right? So what you'll do is, in my testing process, I'll say to read this data according to my index column, so that I can like work with this usernames, right? It depends on you how you read. I personally feel that I should work with the usernames. You can work with your first name. You can work with your uh, username will be better, right? You can work with the phone numbers too, right? That depends how you want to give entry to the user based on your programs. So I said that I will be reading the data what I have generated, right? And every time I'll be reading this. So you have to make a program that automatically takes the input, generate it to a data frame, add to a data frame, and then store it in your drive, right? And every time they see, so you will have to make a user defined like program, right? For that you will not have to give every time this reading from your hard drive, because every user can't have your hard drive access, right? So you'll have to upload this somewhere on the uh, some space where the user can easily scrape out from the data from there, right? So that will be easy if you upload your data to like GitHub, right? So if you upload your data to GitHub, then you can easily, someone can easily access from there and can run your program and can see whether it is working or not, right? So that's nice. Okay. So I have read this data and I said email now. So login will be the user will be asked to enter the email, and like it will be input enter email, and I'll split with @ and now email of 0 will be my EM, that is my existing email. Okay. So this is existing email I'm having on. So I said if the existing email is in the bank.index, all right. Okay. Let me tell this. So this is your bank data, right? Because you are not much used to this bank. So this is your bank data, right? And if I say what are the columns of this, so that will be very easy if I just write bank.columns. So you are having unnamed column, password column, phone number, gender, first name, last name, and date of birth. That's nice. If you see the index values, so that is like index is nothing but the usernames, right? So you are having all the usernames in this index, everything in this index, and this is right the username you are getting, right? So, but if you say that this index to be converted into a list, so you will be getting some list over there. So that will be a list, right? Because we can't use this membership operator in like the data frames directly. So we'll have to access this if we have in this kind of list or set or like something like that. Okay. So what we'll do, we'll convert this into a list. Or otherwise, you can also pass on like this. If you don't remember this function, you can even pass on this like list of this elements. you will pass in like this, and you can see, right? So this will automatically work here too, and like if you convert this into underscore list, and then you can give the parenthesis, that will work there too, right? So that depends how you write again. So this will create your data in this list, like usernames in this list, right? And now what we'll do is see. So I said if this em, right, that is the email of 0, and try to understand that is the only username I'm saying, not with the @ of Gmail. The only username if exists in this bank list, right? So if the only username exists from here, understood? If the username exists here, then I'll go for entry the password. Enter the password, right? So if the password entered, now I'm saying if bank of password of em is equals to pass. Now what this? See. So see, your bank is there, right? If I say the bank, and if I write the column name first of all, let's say I'm searching for this password, and if I say the password of any particular username, let's say iit.shukla, so that will be my password. That is Sumit Shukla 20, right? So similarly, that is if I say bank and the particular column name, let's say password. You can see even for the date of birth, like let's say DOB is there. So if it is DOB, yeah. So you want the date of birth of this. Sorry. Then the row name. Row name will be like which particular user you want to access. You just understand it like this for that. Okay. So that is like the date of birth you are getting. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is, I am doing that. Where is the student? Yeah. So I am saying that if the bank of particular password and then the em will be the username. Let the user decide which username he wants, right? So user will be giving his own username, right? So that username will be given automatically. I don't have to define any of the things there. So I don't have to write it manually like for the usernames. That em will be the username automatically. And if, right, so if this work as the password, so right, see what I'm saying, my password is this and my process by giving it this, right? So if I write it as, let's do this copy. So if I say this to be this, so that is a true statement, right? Because my password is this. But if I add 0 over here, that will be false because that is not my password. So I will say that if, where it gone, where it gone. So yeah, so if this line line numbers over there, sorry. So if this worked and it is equals to the password what user entered. So if the password is equal, we'll do import time, and then time dot some local times. Okay, that is all local time. Okay, that is optional. If you want, you can do. I always do this, right? So that I can have a very good analyzation, because we work as a data analytics part, so that is very important to analyze data every moment, right? So I took it, and it is very like it is useful if you also use this. Okay, so this is t.time.local time, and current time will be like str. We will be dealing in the from tomorrow. We'll be dealing this what is time, what is math modules, and all those things, right? We'll be going with that. Don't worry. Okay. So this is local time and str of time, HMS and T. What is HMS and T? And you will see this is hour, minute, seconds, and you are getting of time, right? And I print login successful. Now you might arise the question. You might have the question that what is the use of this login success and login fail? So see guys, if the user entered the correct mail, entered the correct password, I'll append his login success. That is, user login somewhere with this email at some this time, right? If it is success. But if the user failed, like if we entered the wrong password, still I'll be taking the time and I'll say that this email ID was trying to attempt a login but failed with this password, with some other password, right? So you can even print the password. I'm not printing the password. I'm just saying this failed in that particular time. Okay, and that is email does not exist. So this is how it works on, right? So we have a list of usernames. We have a list of so let's run and see whether my login is working or not. So I saved this login, right? And I run it. So it's saying to enter the email. Let's say I'm entering satyam.dav at the rate of gmail.com. So yes, email verified, and it's asking for the password. Okay. So password of this Satyam is Satyam1013 Kumar. Okay. So let's say this is Satyam1013 case capital. Case capital. So login successful, right? Login is successful. And if you see your login of success, so that is like I have done this in 8:41. So you can see the time too. That is, I attempted my login at 8:41:07, then again at 8:41:45. Okay, and I have logged in now for the Satyam at 9:34:40. Okay, that you can get you can have a data. Even if you see the login of this uh, failed login. So you can see I attempted a wrong login at 8:42 also. Like in the next minute too. I just checked it whether it's working or not. So it is working, right? Second, you can make and store these things like if you want. You can more even modify the things. I have gave you a very general idea of how you can make things, how you can just work with this. So see, if I just run this wrong login attempt, let's say this is Satyam dot dav. Hmm. So, if I'm saying, what happens if you write a wrong email that says email does not exist? Now it depends on you. You want to ask the user that do you want to create an email account in this Google, or you can pass on the function, right? So what you can do, you can pass all these functions one by one. That is first name, last name, and all those things, right? So you can pass, you can combine one, you can make one more statement like for a user account, and you can combine all those functions inside that, and that is what you have to do, right? That is now your task, because I have did my task. That is clear to you how you can make it. So let's say if I run a write attempt, let's say this is Satyam dot this dav at this gmail.com. Hmm. So password, asking the password. That's it. This time I'm writing Satyam Kumar. Shit. 1013. Incorrect password, and see the login failed. So Satyam DAV failed at 9:36:39, and it's 39 milliseconds over there and microseconds. Got it? Any confusions how it works, or any do you have any confusions to ask from your side? You want any something to be delivered like, so this is like the base of how Gmail working works on. Okay, very particular base I'm giving you, right? There are a lot more of things to work on that, right? So you can now upload this data to GitHub, and you can scrape this data from the GitHub every time. Okay, you can do for that. So let me once again give me your to give to you. Do you guys have any account in GitHub? not, then you can like make one account over there. I think I have one. Let's sign up. Any other process? So we have this one, but I don't remember. Let me try it if it works. So see, it's like you can see the interface, right? So we just send an authentication code via email. So these are nothing but a part of a string actually, and that is the str of first, and then the str, and that is at the rate of Gmail and so on, right? That is nothing and like seems to be very interesting, but is now you think you and the code will expire at, and he has like sent some time limit that it will expire at 10:39 a.m. IST. That's right. Okay, you can define like in which time you have entered the codes and like all this. Okay, asking for 6-digit code. So verify this. Verifying worked on. Nice. So here I have made some of the things like there is some prime number you can test on without using any of the for loops and so on, right? So you can make your account in this. So we actually work with this Simpy library. There we can just like you can see the outputs over there. There is a enter the number to check whether it is prime or not. So I wrote 100. Okay. Now it will create a range from 2. So do you wish to see the range of the divisibility number we are checking? So if you write yes, then it will say that we'll be checking the numbers from 2 to 99, and the result is 100 is a non-prime number, right? Depends on like if you are writing no, then 54 is a non-prime number as it get divided by some of the numbers. So 54 is divided by these, or like it's saying it's like not exactly this, but there was some error by writing this actually. So this code, this last one not worked well. We'll have to edit this one. I didn't get the time there, but this is working. Like you can use this library of Simpy that we learn in data science when we study data science. We learn there. So now we'll upload something here, right? Let's go back. Hmm. New repository. That will be public or private, depends on you. Okay. So this is my data bank generated one. Let's do one thing. Where it is. Bank data, bank data, bank data. Projects. Bank details. Which one it is? Bank data. Alright. So let's download this. Done. description is how like later on, like how you can. This is a glance of how you can work on creating a user interface of Gmail registration. Hmm. The rest will be public. Initialize. This will let you immediately clone the repository in your computer. Nice. Add a license. Okay. This is of Python. Done. Create repositories. Done here. Okay. So this is where you can so see this is like you can use this data like this is you can use this uh, username to scrape out your data from here. Okay. Let me do one thing more. Okay. Where are my repositories? Where the option went on upload files, web page, web page. Upload files. Okay, it has been shifted, no problems. So let's choose our file that is downloads and data CSV. Add files by upload, commit any changes, create a new branch, and no, nothing else. So commit changes, processing, and there is one CSV blank data over there. So that is this data uploaded to this CSV. Hmm? You can even have your codes there. You can even upload your notebooks here as it is still like the same things. Right? So now your work will be to scrape this data using this particular URL, right? So even if you don't even if you don't write it as bank, even if you say like request anything from the URL, that also you can do. Like you can just see. I must show you that how you can do it. Let's say there is an frame files. I think maybe I see models. So there was some of this decision tree. I think there was some of the emails URL data. So this is how this data is like taken from any URL. Like it's taking. from this CSV. To download the data, we'll use this from IBM Object Storage. So like you can just write on that wget, you want some data, and then you can pass your things to there, and like you can see, right? So this is how it's working over there. You can tell this URL where your file is. Where is your one? Yeah. In place of this, you can say this data like so username. If you see your like username, but every time it will not work according to this. If you like read your data, let me show you here. If you like read this, let's say your data to be this. So you want to read it now, right? You want to read a URL. That is, you want to scrape any data from a URL. So you have two of the methods. You can use the URL lib library. There is one called as URL lib. You can use that. Otherwise, you can directly use the URL code, or you can say the URL one to directly access the data. Like, you can use both of them. Like some student has gave that. Like let me show you that project. That might be Nikita's product. It was, I think. No, not this one. I told her to rectify this. So it would be like, I think, let me see. No, no. What's going on, sir? I didn't understand. What you didn't understand? We were trying to build some basics. Where it is? 17 days ago, IPNB files 4 days. This is 17 days ago. ATM machine. Let's see. So this is again a data made over here, I think, and that is working with that. Okay, that's fine. A month ago, ATM working, ATM YB. Like this is how ATM working would be there. I'll show you how an ATM could work. That too, because you'll have to connect those things with an ATM working file so that it can be used. If there is any data around some 18-20 days ago, PyCharm projects. There is also not such file to read it on. Okay. So see, you can like you have uploaded this data. You can even load this data with this URL request, or like you can load this with the URL lib function. That I will tell you how to upload with that. Then you can say on that you want to read it something from this URL. So So if you just pass on these things, like let me give you an idea of that. So let's read this data. For that, I'll have to import that library first of all. So import this URL library. Uh, or you can, I think, you can use this web browser directly. So whenever you run this, like open this web browser. So see, whenever you say this open web browser, so automatically it will, like when you run this, automatically it will open the web browser to you and that particular link, whatever you write. Okay. And if you want to scrape the data from there, you can like just open or read or like that you want, you can just do that also. Okay. So similarly, you can like read out the data also. If you are saying that you can read the data, so you can even read out the data from this. Let me show you. So that could be like if I just write on URL, nothing found. Okay, so you can work with that URL like let me show you. So let's write import. So response would be like you want to upload your like scrape your data from this. This would be a request and this will be the URL. So this is your data actually, whatever it is, right? The whole data it will be converted and will be coming as like what you are expecting of it. So when you run this, like it will be reading out the data from there. You run a particular command of that particular file. If you say like this bank data CSV, what is the path of this copy path? You run with this path. It is like similar, right? It is bank data CSV. So now it will not run because you haven't specified any URL to it. So this will scrape out the data from there. Even you can just pass on this like URL This is your URL. Now you can even read data from this URL. Like you can read out data from there. Like if you write pd dot, if you just write pd dot read. Now you want to read data from anything. Let's say you want to read the data from HTML or like for a URL, something like that, pickle, or you're saying with that if you just pass on this URL there, no table from incident. So this is your data, right? This is reading the data from there. You are getting like that also. If you say you want to read the CSV from this URL, so that will not work because that will be a kind of HTML. You write the address from where you want to read the data. Let's say read it equals to this. So whenever you run your read, it will be something like this, right? It will be a data like this. You can say. So similarly, you can modify with if you want like exactly the same things as this row or like this a spreadsheet. You can even pass on those things also from the URL. So with that, you can write it as, let's say, uh, there you actually need two functions. That is, once you import pandas and you see this is only method, like you can just use this request. Request is nothing but some of the content to read it from there, and you just pass this URL. So you can like write this, that is you want some request, okay, to get the data from this particular URL, and just write it like this. Now whereas expected file name class bytes of type which particular read of CSV. Yes. Mm, maybe because of, okay. If I use the simplest method, then it will work, I think. Expected one fields in line 49 saw 2. Username, password, phone number, general. Yeah, that's right. problem. It's not reading the data from there. Something else. It's still working. It's working, but the values are not really there. Okay. Repositories are not working there. This data should files. This should read the files over there. No. File path is clear. The branches are there. No. Okay, I'll look at why it's having some of the errors it is having. It's not actually reading the data. From HTML it is reading. You can convert this data from HTML1 to CSV. Is that is not good. Desktop it has not. Okay. CSV data is not reading out there. it's not. It's data. Username unnamed one or unnamed zero. Is there anything like that? Username. That's it. If you just edit this file, let me see if I write it here. Ah, shit. This is scraping the data along with it. It's nice. So this is getting there. Okay. Raw. Lean. Fine. I want to add this data. Why it's not working? Bank data CSV. There we might get some docs of that. So there are a lot of bank data. Also, previously it has been written over there, so that you can use more files are there. Okay, there might be some problems. I'll see to it later onwards. Okay, so you try to understand. Let me just read these things. I'll give you the solution in WhatsApp. I'll try to do that. Hmm? See, so you can upload your data to there, and then you can work with that. And when you have made this, similarly you can make this concept to build out bank data. Where you'll be giving some. You can say the. Let me show you one sample project for a bank data. You see, what you can do is you can make your data over there. So we'll make some pins. Okay, flag is like the number of counts or occurrence you'll be getting. Like for the three chances you'll be getting, right? So you'll be getting three chances, and when you like entry or pin, if you write three wrong pin, then you come out of that loop, right? So it's saying count is less than three. And if it is one, or if the user wants like welcome to ATM, welcome to bank, and whatever it is. So this is like choose your transaction and something like all those things. So if you want balance inquiry, you'll be using one and like that. So if you use one, then it will work like this and then slip and all those. It depends on you. You give your conditions over there. That is you balance inquiry, withdrawal money, deposit, change your PIN, quick transfer, and quit. Okay. So these will be the option. And based on this data, what you want to locate. But you do one thing, you work with this bank project, you take the dictionaries there. Okay, you don't go with this data frame because that you don't know much about this data. So you take the dictionary and work with that dictionary, like take that dictionary key and then you can just check. So see the output here, like welcome to this ATM. It's taking data from this John and like all those. Okay. So any confusions while understanding the whole procedure of this? So I'll upload this one file to your drive over there so that you can understand. This login field is like every time I'll be using a wrong attempt, I'll be getting a login field up there. So if I just even write as this is actually not shown to you, right? You can see it somewhere in the like Instagram when you load your data from the Instagram, or when you see your login. This actually the company actually has this data whenever you log in. So the company will get that this user has login somewhere. Okay, now somewhere login including you can also give the locations there, but you need something another to learn there. Okay, So you can also give the location that user are logged somewhere on this globe. Okay, and this in this time it has login like that. So every time when you give a wrong login or when you give a right login, let's say this is, so there is some, okay. So you can see login successful again. Like you can, whenever you check your login success, so you can see the updations here. That is login at 10:16:30. Hmm? So you can create a like a user's login report. Like you can create his own login report. Like you can find on where this particular IIT Shukla, wherever it is in this old list, you can find and you can make a login of all those time limit wherever it has login there. You can define every certain particular list for every particular user.